making it look easy to win regional championship. This is going to be our round 3 Swiss feature match here. And Alex, I just can't wait to get started.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 incredible players as we do get a chance to have a look at our players just placing down those prizes now. We do get sight of that just to give you guys a bit of an idea of what the matchup is. And we're going back in time. We're ignoring destined rivals. We're going back to Dragapult up against Gardevoird EX, Shay.
Yeah, just as I said before, my cast prediction, sometimes when it comes to new formats, the old decks that have been refined and everyone knows how to play them tend to do well. And Andrew and Matthew saying, well, you know what? Destined Rivals is a good set. There's a lot of fun stuff in there. But how about Dragapult and Gardevoird being the main decks to beat?
Yeah, and it's just both our players there, like well accomplished, right? Andrew's taken down a regional championships this season already. He's been piloting Dragapult thus far for quite some time now to some fantastic finishes, of course, a first and a second, just this season himself. And then Matt Burris there, we already know how accomplished he's a player. From that kind of region where we get so many good players piloting such incredible decks to such great finishes, and he's going to be looking to do the same here as well.
Yeah, I know Matthew tests with a lot of the Australian player base there, Natalie Miller, Henry Brand, Kywin, Kababe, all of them high-tier players who we've seen do really well all manner of events. Natalie Miller, finalist at EUIC, just gone. Henry Brand, former world champion. But here we do see the fist bump. So here we go, our Swiss round 3 feature match here at the North American International Championships is kicking us off, and Andrew Hedrick on the left is starting off his turn 1.
Yeah, the little Dreepy up against the Rolts in the active spots for both our players here. Andrew's going to have to be looking at that hand. I don't know how strong it is. We do get their first attachment.
I don't think there's any playable cards in that hand. Alex, is going to be a turn, attach, and pass as it is over to Matthew, who's playing that Gardevoird EX archetype. And while he concludes this earthen vessel, let's have a little rundown of this Gardevoird EX archetype. It's a very good one. It uses Gardevoird EX with that Psychic Embrace ability, letting you attach as many Psychic energy as you like from your discard pile and attach them to your Psychic Pokemon in play. Now, you do have to put 2 damage counters on for each energy. Yeah, that's a bit boring. However, when you utilize cards like Drifloon and Screamtail, you can actually do more damage for each damage counter on them. You can actually turn that into a bit of an advantage. And there's also another way you can manipulate that damage with Monkey Dory, who basically just moves damage, 3 damage counters from one of your Pokemon over to your opponents, meaning that the damage that sticks on via Psychic Embrace can really start to fly back the other way.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do get Matt Burris there, just, doing what every top player has to do throughout these sort of large tournaments. Go through that deck, go through what is prized, knowing what your resources are available that's in your deck. Andrew, at the moment, hasn't had that opportunity to do so, but, he's got to breathe a sigh of relief because he is up against Gardevoird. There's not really too much that Gardevoird could do in terms of taking this Dreepy out, for example, on his first turn. So he can and will be able to, hopefully, as long as that hand is able to, can continue playing on and seeing how this game can proceed. But we do get a nest ball now from Matt's side of the field. He's going to be looking to try and set up the rest of the board, of course. Just does have the additional energies now in those hands. But let's just kind of see what direction he chooses to go down. Getting the extra rolls is always going to be quite important in these kind of matchups. But goes for that ever so important, arguably one of the best cards in the game right now. Monkey Dory with that Adrenabrain ability.
It literally feels like this format is developed into what deck can utilize Monkey Dory most effectively, right? We have Gardevoird's been one of the best ones at doing it because it self-damages itself really easily. As we do see the turn 1 secret box, Alex, one of the premier A-specs in format right now. Now, you do have to discard 3 cards from your hand. However, when you are Gardevoird, you can get rid of 2 basic energy. That's actually pretty good. And then your reward for discarding 3 cards from your hand is you get an item card, you get a tool card, you get a support card, and you get a stadium card, all at the same time. And I tell you what, Alex, you couldn't really draw up polar opposite turn 1s. Andrew, unfortunately, just has to turn, attach, and pass. And Matthew gets the secret box, going to grab the TM Evolution, the Buddy Buddy Poffin, which will become 2 basic Pokemon, and the Professor's Research to draw 7 cards afterwards. Goodness gracious me.
And there he is, out with it again. And we do have the Professor's Research kind of waiting in the wings as well when Matt needs to do so. I guess, again, one of the few things that Andrew can think about is even if that hand wasn't looking too great in terms of additional Pokemon and setting up that board state, he's going to be hoping, I'm sure, that there is a supporter in hand so that he can continue bursting through and kind of setting up the board state as well, and just kind of counteracting exactly what's happening here from Matt's side of the board. And we do see the professor's research. Odds are not being played to try and not give Andrew an out to additional basic Pokemon, non-rule box basic Pokemon as well. But I guess this is the one thing right now, because that is just the one routes on the bench.
Yeah.
So right now, if this was to utilize that technical machine evolution, it would just be the routes that could be evolved up, just the one. But we do see an Ultra Ball now discarding that rare candy, which is often such a key resource to try and burst into like a Gardevoird EX.
It really is. We do see the Gardevoird EX being taken, but I guess if you're going to TM Evolution straight into Curlier and you know there's going to be no attacking threat realistically from Andrew's side of the board, depending on how his turn 2 pans out, you could be rather safe to just evolve up into a Curlier and then Gardevoird next turn. As we do see the TM Evolution being played, evolve up into Curlier, and now it's back over to Andrew. Now, Andrew, what can you do? We need to start seeing some pressure. You did have a slow turn 1. Let's see. Wait. Is that just the professor's research as an actual playable?
It's not the prettiest of discards in terms of a supporter. If that is a professor's research in hand, there we do get the Neo Upper Energy attachment. That's the ace spec of choice for Andrew Hedrick's Dragapult Dusknoir deck that he's piloting today. As we do get the professor's research now, a number of cards being discarded. As we now see, we do hit the buddy pop-in, so we will be building out that board state. I don't think there was a Dracloak, so they won't see any recon directives at the moment, which could be a bit suspect in terms of trying to build up that board, especially when you want to be trying to go into those cards to try and set up here, as I believe this is Andrew's also first chance to actually look through that deck to figure out what is prized.
And while Andrew is going to do that prize check, as it is his first deck search, Alex, why don't you talk to us through about how this Dragapult deck works?
Yeah, Dragapult has always been a very, very powerful attacker. Again, arguably one of the most powerful attackers in the game with that Phantom Dive attack. A fire and a psychic energy will deal 200 damage to the active Pokemon and allow you to place 6 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon in any way you like. To get there, you utilize things like those Dreepies and the Dracloaks, of course, with Recon Directive, allowing you to just continue drawing through your deck. Look at the top 2 cards and put one into your hand and the other to the bottom. And then comboing this with that Duskull, and if that could evolve into the Dusclops and the Dusknoir, both having a Curse Blast ability where during your turn you may put 13 damage counters from the Dusknoir or 5 from the Dusclops onto one of your opponent's Pokemon. It does take a self-knockout, but then starts to activate things like that Counter Catcher, and you really start to play from behind and really cause chaos into your opponent's board state, especially when you combine things with things like Ionos and other supporters and other such useful cards, even things like the Badoo, which can just eliminate a lot of the board state sometimes just by item locking your opponent. Yeah,
Dragapult does have one of those interesting decks. But while it plays from behind technically, it's still in the driver's seat, as we do see Luminous Energy going to get discarded. Voodoo is going to hit the active, and it's going to be itchy pollen time. I hope everyone here in this venue in New Orleans has their antihistamines ready, because there's pollen flying everywhere. Now, 10 damage, and now Matthew cannot play any item cards, so it might have been quite heads up to get rid of that rare candy. We are going to see an evolution into that active Curlier. We know Gardevoird EX is currently in the hand. There we do see it evolve. So Psychic Embrace is online. So now those 3 Psychic Energy in Matthew's discard pile can be attached. But it's just going to be a big professor's research. Another Psychic Energy hits the discard pile. And let's see what these 7 cards are and how they treat Matthew.
Yeah, going to be looking for a way maybe to something like that Scream Tail, just to kind of maybe target down that Dreepy with the energy on it right now. Of course, when you think about some of these decks, like the Dragapult decks, every energy attachment is so important, and especially when the only real sort of energy acceleration really is that Neo Upper Energy, because that provides 2 energies onto the board state. But if there's a way where Mats could maybe get a Scream Tail, doesn't look like there's too many options at the moment.
It's going to be hard when you're under the itchy pollen lock, so it looks like we're going to see a retreat, and it looks like we're going to see the Psychic Embrace activation ×3. It's going to be ×2, I should say, first of all. And we're going to move the damage off with the Adrenabrain for a mid-turn KO. Whatever Andrew promotes here is going to be suspect to a Miracle Force for 190. Basically offering up a Pokemon to get sacrificed here. It is going to be the Dreepy. You have to protect Neo Upper Energy, obviously. So let's see what's going to happen here.
Now, usually with these Gardevoird decks, they also like to play from behind, utilizing things like counter catchers as well. But when the opportunity presents itself and you're taking 2 prizes in a turn like this, it's a big knockout on that Dreepy there from Miracle Force now. And there's not really an easy way for Andrew Hedrick with his Dragapult Dustmore deck to really sort of combat this right now. He will need a lot of pieces to find a way back.
All right, and let's see if we do see any of those pieces. We'd love to see a potential, like, catapult into the Dragapult, but with no copies of Rare Candy available, that is not going to be an option. So, we are going to see Dreepy going to get promoted into the active. We're going to see Night Stretcher to grab back the Dusclops, and our Curse Blast is live. It can KO itself. There's 5 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. You know, not the greatest, but, you know, we are working towards the Dusknoir. We're going to see Night Stretcher to grab back that Badoo. We're going to see a turn attachment to the active and the Ironer. As Alex, we did say, Dragapult Dustnoir loves to come back from, well, it's a comeback deck. And Ironer's one of the big proponents of that, you know, forcing both players to put their hand to the bottom, and they draw 1 card for each prize card they have remaining. Yeah,
it's a really tricky spot here now, because Andrew's going to have to find the right time to utilize that Curse Blast to maybe try and sort of weave in a way back into this game. Right now, just trying to look for ways to slow down the game. Hasn't found a Drag
That's a concession there from Andrew. Wow. So Matthew Burst is going to take game 1 here in our Swiss round 3 feature match. As you say, Alex wasn't able to find the Dracloak. And if you don't find Dracloak, you're not going to find Dragapult. So Matthew takes a relatively fast game 1 here.
Yep, and this is kind of one of those things that Gardevoird has been, you know, wanting to sort of match into, especially in the previous format when Destined Rivals hasn't quite come into the format yet. We were all worried whether Grimmsnarl can sort of keep Gardevoird in check, but it hasn't really changed too much. But Matt Burris there has been able to demonstrate that just by being able to play his supporters, get that technical machine evolution out and ready and going, you know, he's been able to sort of overcome this game 1 and actually take game 1 himself against the reigning NAIC champion.
Yeah, you have to be feeling on top of the world there if you're Matthew. You know, when you're facing off against the previous NAIC champion, you're not going to get very many easy games, but you could be arguing Matthew was able to get one there. Did still have to play really well, you know, took that mid-turn KO with Adrenabrain and was able to apply the pressure just at the right time, able to close it out. So currently, Matthew Burris is our 1 game up here in our Swiss round 3 feature match. And it is over to Andrew to try and, you know, win 2 games in a row. Now, the good news is for Andrew, if there is any good news, that there's plenty of time left on the clock here to try and win a game 2 and game 3. And I'm sure Andrew would love to try and get to a 3-0 record here. However, the funny thing is, Alex, Matthew also wants to get to a 3-0 record. He'll be doing everything he can to win this next game.
You've gone with funny, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Both players want to win. That's pretty funny, I think. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But plenty of time left for both our players to try and conclude either a victory in either direction. We know this was kind of the type of matchup which you kind of expect to see. I've already spoken about it. We all kind of thought maybe Gardevoird might see a bit of a drop in play because of the hype around things like Grimmsnarl, which also actually kind of means that maybe Dragapult saw a bit of a decline in play as well, because again, it can handle those sort of things. But these 2 were our big 2 of our last format.
It really was.
Of our Journey Together format. These were the big 2, and you know, we're here once again, both of these players bringing the same deck in reality, just with kind of maybe some small changes in accounts, as we do see our players there starting to put out their prizes. They're going to have to be trying to work out those resources as soon as possible as well. Here we go, they're kicking things off. This is game 2 of our Swiss round 3. Looks like Matt Burris will be going first, and Andrew Hedrick has decided to go second.
And I tell you what, Alex, looking at Andrew's hand, that is a polar opposite to game 1. I see like 4 different ways to grab basic Pokemon. But it is over to Matthew, who has led that Pheasantipity EX, but does have a Nest Ball currently in the hands. Going to work out, you know, looks like trying to work out what's exactly prized. As we do see here, Technical Machine Evolution is prized. Does play 2 copies though. Curlier currently in the prize cards. Bravery Charm. To be honest, not the worst prize cards there for Matthew.
No, absolutely. Will mean Matt will be able to sort of go through and get to his game plan, get those energies in the discard, so long as he's able to find the pieces like the Earthen Vessels and the discards, of course. But the game plan is there and available for him to get to. He just needs to kind of build out that board and make sure he can get those routes down, get those Curliers, get that Gardevoird eventually when you're ready to attack, and of course, supplement them with that Monkey Dory.
Yep, that is going to be the aim of the game. But here we do see the turn 1 secret box again. I tell you what, there's no secrets when Matthew's around. He's immediately finding that ace spec, discarding 3 cards from your hand, grab a tool card, supporter card, and a stadium. Those ace specs all have really strong effects, balanced by the fact you can only play one of them in your deck. So Matthew finding that super early is very nice. And I tell you what, there's actually a card in Matthew's hand, Alex, which is really impactful in the matchup. We didn't get to see it in game 1, that Lily's Clefairy EX. Yeah,
absolutely. An incredible card as a bit of a big counter to those Dragon-type Pokemon, which now doesn't have any weakness. However, that Fairy Zone ability does provide a psychic weakness to your opponent's Dragon-type Pokemon. And, well, what type does Matt Burris is going to be primarily playing in his deck, Shay?
Oh, psychic Pokemon, funnily enough. So Lily's Clefairy basically says that if you ever get the Dragapult EX out, Andrew, I'm going to try my best at it straight to the discard pile, because you can attack with Full Moon Rondo, 20 plus 20 for each bench Pokemon in play. You can do that. However, that Miracle Force from Gardevoird, which we did see in game 1, is also very apt at KOing Dragapult when Fairy Zone is applied.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that Andrew's going to have to keep an eye on, figuring out where it is, utilizing things like the Duskulls, the Dusclops, Duskwars, when the right time is to do so, and maybe just try and essentially decimate the board where possible, as we do get the energy attachment now to the Pheasantipity, and we do have double routes there as well, because that is turn 1, can't attack of course, but does have the energy attached so that we can retreat or maybe even use Technical Machine Evolution on his turn 2.
And I tell you what, Andrew also has the Neo Upper Energy available to him, so both ace specs here, there, and everywhere. But as I did say, Andrew has a polar opposite hand from game 1. Going to start the turn off there with a Buddy Buddy Puffin, letting you grab 2 basic Pokemon with 70 hit points or less, and pop mystery onto your bench. But I think Andrew also had another copy of Buddy Buddy Puffin in his hand, and also had 2 copies of Nest Ball, which lets you grab any basic Pokemon he likes. And as Andrew is going to work out what's in the prize card, see, we get to cheat a little bit. We get this nice little overlay. Looks like Andrew has prize Counter Catcher, Dracloak, Luxurious Cape, Professor's Research, Counter Catcher, and Iono.
Yeah, thanks for that. He does play 3 copies of Counter Catcher, so we'll have access to 1 still in the deck if he does fall behind or find his game plan going behind, and we'll be able to still use it. Does only really play the 1 Luxurious Cape. Maybe it's just that one way of going into the Badoo. We often do see the Luxurious Badoo come down with its own sort of trait, as it were, in the trading card game. And, you know, that's one way to kind of just offset some potential shenanigans like that Monkey Dory that we saw in game 1.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen the Luxurious Cape being used to sort of protect your bench Dracloak, right? Really brief up the hit point so it can maybe is outside of range of a Scream Tail, and then when it needs to evolve, you can just evolve up into it. That's going to be an interesting wrinkle that Andrew won't have available to him. But here we do see the second copy of Buddy Buddy Puffin come down. The first one did grab the Badoo and a Dreepy, and the second one's going to grab a Dreepy and a Duskull. And I tell you what, and we're going to see the Nest Ball as well. Look at that. So game 1, Andrew only got 1 bench Pokemon out, and in game 2, he's filled the bench immediately.
Yep, but I guess he's got to know that Matt is working with a Technical Machine Evolution in hand right now. We saw it, of course, come out from the secret box already. But, you know, Andrew's still got to set up that board state for himself, right? We've already mentioned there's no rare candies in the list. Does have to get into the Dracloaks, get into the Recon Directors, as we do see now the switch into the Badoo.
Oh, wow.
Energy attachment, as I mentioned, ever so important every single turn, and the research to boot.
Yeah, there we go. And we're going to see a lot of energy there. Rescue Ball. There's a Dracloak. We needed to see that. Can't evolve that now, obviously. That's a nice little hand there for Andrew. And it's going to end the turn off there with the Itchy Pollen. 10 damage, and Matthew cannot play any item cards. Is over to Matthew over his turn 2. Let's see what we can manufacture. Wait a minute. Doesn't have the energy available yet. So if you are going to do a TM Evolution, you might have to do it with the Pheasantipity. We are going to see the Artisan coming down now. Interesting chose not to use it last turn. Didn't want to give Andrew any easy way to grab bench Pokemon. But now since Andrew has filled the bench, you might as well use it. Letting you grab any basic Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box and pop it straight onto your bench. And that's going to find the second copy of Monkey Dory.
Yeah, it's always going to be very, very scary when you're sitting across from not just 1, but 2 of those Monkey Dories with the Adrenabrain ability. Again, synergizing with that Psychic Embrace so well, and just making things really, really difficult to just basically cause chaos for the opponent's side of the board. But we still need to get to that stage first. we do see the technical machine evolution now attached to the Pheasantipity in the active spot. Evolution, you can choose up to 2 of your bench Pokemon and find an evolution Pokemon from your deck to evolve up.
This is risky. If he draws into the Curlier here, won't be able to use the evolution. Let's have a look. Oh, no Curlier there. A lot of supporters, funnily enough. No dark energy, so we won't be able to start developing the... Oh, no, I tell a lie. I did have one. They hid it from me, Matthew. So Adrenabrain is currently live. You probably want to wait to use it. But you're going to see Technical Machine Evolution. It's a nice tool card letting you evolve up 2 of your Pokemon straight into play.
Yeah, we'll only be able to get 1 of the Curliers.
Oh, because 1 is prized, of course.
Yeah. But, of course, you still have to choose your 2 Pokemon that you can evolve up as well. So that's why you saw Matt point at both of the routes there. He does just get the 1 Curlier, gives a bit of information to Andrew Hedrick, and just see how we kind of navigate this turn here. There's the first evolution. The first Dracloak does hit the board here now in this Swiss round 3, as we finally do get a Recon Directive live in this game.
Yeah, not so we've actually managed to see that Recon Directive, and a fantastic ability. Letting you look at the top 2 cards of your deck. 1 can go in your hand and the other can go at the bottom. So letting you filter in cards that you like without having to discard them. We are going to see a rescue board potentially getting attached. No, decided against it in the end.
And just deciding whether he wants to play any more cards out before utilizing that Iono maybe. Yep, straight into the Iono first. Maybe he wants to save and hold on to the rescue board for maybe a future turn or maybe for another Pokemon which it really needs it. Because right now it doesn't have to worry about it too much. Does get another energy already drawn. Yep, there's a Recon Directive now. Top 2 cards. Is that Dragapult EX was one option.
Dragapult EX. Can't tell the other one. Not,
oh, he's taking the Jax. I mean,
the Jark, yep.
That means 2.
That means 2. Letting you grab any 2 evolution Pokemon you like is a Jark. And there's another Dragapult EX and a Fire Energy. That's going to get sent to the bottom of the deck as well. So Andrew is definitely in the driver's seat. We are going to see the Itchy Pollen. So that means Matthew is going to be item locked again. Remember, was hit by the Iono, so that previous hand has been sent down to the bottom. What has Matthew got? Now, there is 1 Gardevoird EX. Uh-oh.
It's not looking too pretty here.
Not looking good.
Unable to play any items from your hand, of course. So right now, it's just full of items, it looks like. And other than that Psychic Energy.
Well, 4 items, an Energy, and the Bravery Charm. That's not looking good. There is 1 Gardevoird in the discard pile currently. Only 1 in the deck, and when you can't play items to go and fetch it, it could get, well, very tough. We are going to see Artists on No. That will shuffle the deck at least. And possibly grab another non-rule box basic Pokemon, put on the bench, but it's not looking good here for Matthew.
No, it's not too pretty. Of course, that Curlier is looking pretty susceptible right now. We can see it in the facial expressions there, I think, as well, because it's a bit of an awkward spot he finds himself in. Looks like he might be going into the Cleffa here. It's not ideal, but allows him to draw up to 7 with that Grasping Draw attack. You know, it's one of those fantastic support baby Pokemon. We're going to see 2 30 HP Pokemon in the active spots potentially here now. Yeah. But Matt, just thinking, well, I need this turn to kind of see some more stuff because those items aren't going to be helping me anytime soon.
That's the thing, yeah. At least you're going to attach the Bravery Charm potentially to the Cleffa to boost that dangerously low hit points of 30 up to 80, as we do see that going to get attached. But, yeah, not the ideal turn you want.
Yeah, a nice brave Cleffa here.
Yeah.
Going to be maneuvering into the active spot, I'm sure now. As we do see the Adrenabrain, it's just going to move 1 across for the moment. A retreat there, manual retreat into the brave Cleffa. Grasping Draw hands up to 7. Looks like it was 5 in hand, so it's just 2. But hoping those 2 can save him. And Andrew Hedrick's on over to you, my friend. Just to work out.
But there was an iron at the very least. We do see a Dracloak Recon Directive. I think a Dusknoir was the top deck. Oh, and a Dusclops potentially getting into the hand. Remember, Jack is currently live, so that could go find an evolution Pokemon.
The Dusclops would be quite vital with that Curse Blast ability as well. It does have double Dusk Hold down. Can maybe find a way to go into the Dragapult and very easily take a knockout on something like the Curlier. This looks like it could be that turn where we end our item lock and start trying to really take advantage where we can. If he does pop a Curse Blast as well, his counter catchers will suddenly become alive.
Great point.
So there's so many different options here, and I think that's what we're having to deliberate on. As we do see.
It looks like Dusclops was taken. The double Curse Blast would be devastating. Wait, was that Dusclops off the Recon Directive again?
Oh, we'll just have a little look. What are that options?
Night Stretcher was one of them. I'd be intrigued to see if it was. That would really be everything. Oh no, it was a Dracalope. I apologize.
Even so, he has boss's orders in hand as
well.
well.
I didn't realize.
So we're just kind of seeing like which direction Andrew Hedrick could take here. There are multiple avenues as we do see finally the evolution up to a Dragapult EX, getting the psychic energy attached to the Dracalope, which had the luminous energy on. Here is the Dusclops, Shay.
Oh, this is not looking good. Dusclops, Curse Blast. Then you knock itself out, and then you place 5 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Don't forget, Phantom Dive also spreads 6 damage counters. That means Curlier is looking a bit suspect right now, is in the range of a KO very easily. Here is the Curse Blast. Oh, don't tempt us, Andrew. Go on. Come on. Now, bear in mind, it does actually give up a prize card. Matthew will take a prize. But as you say, Andrew has so many cards that are really good coming back from, well, being in a prize deficit.
I mean, sometimes one of the things that you want to be trying to do alongside a Curse Blast is getting something like an Iono off, because you're also, you know, giving up a prize, but also then making them draw one less. It's a Curse Blast onto the routes for the time being. I think it's been a deliberation between that Jacques to try and build up that board set a little bit more, or go for that boss's orders, or maybe even find a second Dusclops. But with the Night Stretcher as well.
Say, you can Night Stretcher, grab the Dusclops back, and then you can Curse Blast the Curlier, and then both would be in range of Phantom Dive damage on the bench.
And what does that mean if he's then taking 2 prizes as well? Also, whilst giving up 2, he also doesn't activate Matt's counter catches either as a potential option.
Oh, yeah, true.
That's potentially one direction he could have gone down, as we do now see the boss's orders onto the Curlier here. And I'm just wondering whether that decision will be made. It's just a Phantom Dive, double routes line going down. So no routes available for Matt's side of the board. Does have his items back, but is that enough in this state?
It's going to be very hard to play a Gardevoird deck when you haven't got access to any Gardevoird. You know, this is not the best of looking board states. You've got the Brave Cleffa, double Monkey Dory, and a Pheasantipity, none of which are going to be able to catapult yourself away from this Dragapult, as it were. We are going to see Pheasantipity getting promoted, and it is over to Matthew.
Yeah, I'm wondering what direction Matt's going to take with this here. We do see the Super Rod can immediately recycle some of those routes, pieces, and also potentially get one out with the Artisan that's available on the board right now as well. But Andrew Hedrick there kind of just setting up the Dusclops, ready to evolve into the Duskmon that's also already sitting in hand at the same time. So it's just kind of a number of pieces. Does obviously also target that Lily's Clefairy EX as well. We mentioned how impactful and important that card will be, or usually is, in this sort of matchup.
Yep.
But let's just see the direction that we go down here. I'm sure we're going to try and pop off an Artisan and some extra cards, just like that Earthen Vessel, still waiting in hand as well at some stage.
You see the Artisan activation. I imagine we'll see one of the... Yep, there's a Rolts off that. I wonder, does Matthew have any other ways of fetching some Pokemon? You'd love to try and get double Rolts developed here, because Andrew's board looks very easy at KOing at least 1 Rolts. You'd love to try and get 2 developed if possible. Even then, 2 isn't actually the safest either.
No, it's still scary just because you're staring down that Curse Blast. And this is one of the slight sort of main positives of maybe playing this version of Dragapult, because you have that opportunity to overstretch and sort of take down Pokemon like the Routes, like the Curliers, or even bigger sort of EX Pokemon at the same time alongside a Phantom Dive. That makes things so scary for your opponent, and that's the direction. And we've seen Andrew sort of pilot this deck to fantastic placements already, but Matt has to do this. He has to get the double routes down.
You have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to sort of play to your outs, we say in the community. Just make life as hard for your opponent as possible. Even if you are fighting an uphill struggle, you have to make it as hard for them. We are going to see an Earthen Vessel concluding, and then we're going to see an Ultra Ball to grab another Rolts. We are going to see a turn attachment to the Monkey Dory, and we're going to see a Mind Bend, perhaps. I love this attack, Alex. Oh, and we do see an Iron being played as well. But that Mind Bend, 60 damage, and it makes your opponent's active confused.
Yeah, the only one good thing for Andrew, and I mean, he's actually just drawn a couple of decent cards there as well, but it's a kind of okay. Still 4 cards he gets to see from the Iono plus the top deck, so that's 5 cards there. You know, even if he does get confused, as we do see the flip the script finally as well, because a Pokemon was knocked out, of course, on Andrew's previous turn. So there's a lot of cards that Matt's going to be working with, but he's just got to try and find a way to protect those routes as much as possible.
And here we are going to see the mind bend. You know, Andrew is no stranger to these confusion flips. That's how he won the NAIC last year. So in case you don't know what confusion does, it makes your opponent's Pokemon, they sort of get reversed on the playing field. And if they choose to attack, you have to flip a coin. If heads, the attack goes through. Happy days, as we do see the Dragapult turn around. If tails, the attack doesn't go through and you hit yourself for 30. That's not very fun.
No, not at all. As we do now get to see the artisan being utilized here from Andrew. Just kind of double checking what maybe he has access to. Maybe something like the Monkey Dory himself, if it was there.
And gets to shuffle the deck after Iono as well.
Especially when there were so many good pieces that were available in that hand that got put to the bottom. Always so important to find a way to maybe reverse what's just kind of happened to your board state and your sort of whole resource pool, as it were. And as we do see now, Andrew just get a chance to shuffle things around. It's going to be some recon directives. Let's have a little look what we get access to. It's the Professor's Research. Easy pick there over the Buddy Buddy Poffin.
Let me see. Wow, some very good cards in the hand. You see Night Stretcher. Is that going to grab back the Dustclops? Looks like it is. Or Dust Skull, I should say. I think that was. Yep, going to re-establish that. Ultra Ball can go and fetch the Dust Noir if needed. Oh, dear.
It's a scary position to be in right now, as we do see that Dust Noir being eyed up, evolved up here. Curse Blast now going to be available on the board to easily just put 13 damage counters on your opponent's board state.
Yep.
Still giving up a prize, but not too much of a worry, especially when you're able to try and just kind of not allow your opponent to really play the game.
Yeah, and then we see counter catches in hand as well, so you can Curse Blast, KO, Run Volts, counter catch up the other one, KO that, and then, you know, that's not looking particularly great, but it looks like, what was that? Professor's Research being played?
Yeah,
going to draw 7.
Played. Just kind of drawn a few different cards there. I mean, there's multiple Dragon Ball EXs. Can evolve up into the second one, which already has a Neo Upper Energy already attached. And we do see the retreat. Oh, we're going into the Voodoo here.
Interesting. Okay.
Not wanting to necessarily pop off with the Curse Blast yet, maybe. But no, actually, no, so many different decisions and lines that you can go down. That's why it makes it so important. And it's just going to be an Itchy Pollen to begin with.
Hey, so going to item lock Matthew again.
It does mean
mean?
Matt wouldn't be able to go straight into a Gardevoird anytime soon as well, or open up a bench space for something like that Lily's Clefairy EX. So we do see another Iono being instantly kind of retaliated back onto Andrew's side of the board now. I guess this is one way to kind of slow the game down a little bit, maybe buy yourself a little bit more time. Maybe if Andrew could maybe potentially go into a second Dustclops.
That Iono did not treat Matthew well, though. I just see energy, 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 and then a Earthen Vessel, I believe. We're going to see the double Adrenabrain for the mid-turn KO, though. What is Andrew going to promote? It will be susceptible to a Mind Bend.
Depends how strong this hand is.
Yep.
If the hand from Andrew's strong, he could potentially go into the Dust Swan. You know, that's basically like a free retriever if you pop off as well. But maybe just kind of iron up, well, there's not really much of an attacker that you have going, and there's no way to really take a knockout on this Dracloak. 90 HP more than enough right now.
It really is, yeah. I mean, that's going to, you know, there is no bench spot open, so you have to worry about no Lily's Clefairy coming down and boosting that Mind Bend damage. So, funnily enough, that Dracloak 90, we're going to see a pay retreat. It's going to Grasping Draw turn.
Yeah, so important to keep hold of the advantage you get by keeping more Monkey Dories on the board, especially with Dark Energies around as well. So it's just going to be the draw up with Grasping. I mean, Andrew Hedrick's he's hit another Night Stretcher as well. We've kind of seen what the options are. I mean, he had to utilize one to pull the Dustclops before that he already popped. So is it useful enough? Is it energy useful enough to kind of pull back from the deck, right, or the discard pile already? I think I also saw a Professor's Research in hand.
Wow.
So can keep going as well. There it is. Just a Psychic Energy. It does mean he could just use that as a retreat option as well. It doesn't have to sacrifice the Neo Upper Energy.
Let's see what else. We'll see the Professor's Research. Draw 7 cards. Love to see that.
Another Dracloak in hand as well, so we'll be able to further recon directive. Finds the Dustclops there from that recon. One of that opens up anymore. Has then 50 plus, well, sorry, 5 plus 13, so up to 180 damage counters that could be manipulated just from popping off the Curse Blast themselves. Flying entry as well.
Flying entry. 1 damage on 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. That means the Ralts is going to be in line of a Phantom Dive as well. We are going to see the Curse Blast that's going to not KO the active. Got a little bit of hit points left thanks to the Bravery Charm. Matthew counter catch is going to bring up the... Uh-oh, this is not looking good. Alex, Phantom Dive would KO the active Fezandipity. It KOs the bench Clever. And it's going to be a concession for Matthew as Andrew was able to take 4 prize cards on that turn with all that damage manipulation. The Curse Blast putting damage here, there, and everywhere. And Andrew lines up game 2.
Yeah, fantastic play. There were so many different lines. Was happy to take the slightly slower approach with that Badoo sort of mid-turn, just to kind of make sure, well, I know you're not going to be able to get that Gardevoird EX out, and if you can't get a Gardevoird EX out, I can continue playing my game, and eventually, this is what Dragapult does so well. Take those multiple, many prize knockouts in turns, just like that, just in there. As we do get an opportunity, I'm sure, to kind of just replay exactly how everything went down here.
And I think this was definitely Andrew's game to lose, was immediately in the driver's seat. Curse Blast pressure was sort of the aim of the game here. And Andrew was able to just dissect those Ralts from play, and Matthew just wasn't able to really get back in this game. It did actually fire off some Mind Bends and some Adrenabrains to take some prizes and confuse Andrew's Dragapult, but that wasn't really winning the game. I feel as if it was just losing the game a little bit slower, but here was the big 4 prize turn that's going to get KO the Fezandipity, Cleffa, and Ralts all at the same time. And then Matthew is just going to try his best to win this game 3 here. Both players would love to get to a 3-0 record, but they're both going to have to try and win this game. 15 minutes left on the clock. There's enough time potentially to get a game 3 in.
Yeah, here we go. Both players, we saw the fist bump. This is going to be game 3 now. Matt Burris did have the decision on who goes first. Does give it over to Andrew Hedrick. It looks like it's the same.
No, not again. A rinse and repeat of game 1 with the 3P attach and pass is over to Matthew now, who is going to play the nest ball. Will at least get to grab a basic Pokemon. But it looks like that hand is not the greatest. We are going to see the prize cards there. Ralts, Gardevoird, and Lily's Clefairy. That is the only copy of Lily's Clefairy, and that is one of 2 copies of Gardevoird EX as well.
Yeah, and based on that hand that you kind of just saw, Shay, and that Matt just sort of flashed to us, having to go for the Nestball for the Cleffa might just have to be a big sign to say, well, actually, my hand is not great right now.
Yeah, it really is. And I think if you're Andrew, you're thinking, okay, well, if you're going to grasp and draw this turn, chances are your hand isn't the greatest. Not the most amount of playables there. We are going to see a Monkey Door. We're going to see an energy attachment to get Monkey Door out of the active. There is a Bravery Charm, which can get attached as well.
Just deciding whether he benches that Fezandipity, plays some more cards, just to see even more, right? We know Andrew's had a slow turn. We know, well, I guess Matt doesn't actually know there's no rare candies. There's a grasping draw for 4 cards. Andrew's right now sitting on a supporter. Here's that Iono. Finds the Badoo as well, which is always a lovely treat.
Don't want to discard your Neo Upper, though, to get it into the active. We are going to see the Iono, potentially. I mean, that makes sense after Matthew did use Grasp and Draw, saying, you've got 7 cards, how about you have 6 cards now? And let's see what Andrew can draw into. We'd love to try and preserve that Neo Upper. Ooh.
No energies, no switches.
No energy or switch. I guess you could Ultra Ball, Recon Directive, hope potentially to try and get a basic energy that way.
Yeah, this is one potential other way to just see a couple of more cards here. Ultra Ball just being utilized. Again, his Dreepy isn't a threat right now. The Badoo, even if you don't Itchy Pollen, maybe it's a... You don't have to because there's no routes to go into a rare candy Gardevoird right now.
This is a fair point, yeah. Both players are playing, well, they've sort of had sub-optimal starts, I should say. And let's see. I mean, if Andrew, do you go for the Jackalope to try and, you know, pressure with a Dragapult next turn? As we do get to see Andrew's prize cards. I haven't been able to have a look at them yet. 1 Dragapult is there. Dreepy, Nice Ranger, Dust Clots, which you saw get used massively in game 2. And the Professor's research. But Alex, do you go for a Dragapult kid? Do you go for a second Dreepy? You know, what's going through your head here?
I think you go for the Dragapult and just kind of get the board state going. I mean, we have the Dragapult there right now at the front of the deck. You could technically Dragon Headbutt as well if you really wanted to. Just put the 10 damage on. I mean, that does mean a return back onto the Badoo if Matt can find a Dark Energy. Looks like it's the Dragapult. But again, you're just kind of getting that board. You're getting the Dragapult ready whilst your opponent hasn't even got a routes down.
True.
right? You're still one step ahead at this moment in time. And then I think there's a Duskull currently in hand as well. I just didn't know if there's I just need to double check whether there's another supporter or something to kind of keep going and maintain that momentum right now.
Really hope
it has to be, I guess, because he's Ultra Balled and Iono away, so there has to be something else there.
Yeah.
And Recon Directive will be live. So you can at least see, you know, 4 cards with this Recon Directive over this turn and the next turn.
Right, let's have a look. Oh, there's a Dragapult, but you're going to have to discard the Neo Upper now, though, and there's still no... Yeah, was that Professor's Research second card there?
Yeah, it's a Professor's Research. Okay. I think you take the Dragapult, and maybe at this moment in time, you just bench the Duskull and pass.
Yeah,
you can.
Oh, that seems... Well, we can't attack. We can't attack because Neo Upper only for stage 2.
Yeah, you're right. My bad. My bad.
Oh, no, but there's got Neo Upper.
It's a painful retreat.
It really is. It doesn't get much more painful than this, but we are going to see Neo Upper energy get discarded. Itchy Pollen is over to Matthew now. What can we do? We're going to see a turn attach, Dark Energy, and then the Iono going to get played as well. So that Dragapult is going to get sent to the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, but I guess you are playing 3 copies of it. The Dark Energies are obviously a big attachment to get on Matt's side of the board. I mean, that Brave Cleffer will be hanging around quite some time. And I mean, it's still got 70 HP to go. But he's not found any routes. That's not a good sign here, Shay. 1 is prize as a reminder for everyone. But the other 2 are hiding away right now.
We're going to see the Adrenabrain. Now, I'll tell you what. Oh, no, with the Adrenabrain, Cleffer is no longer in range of Dragon Headbutt. It was, but now it's going to get moved away. So we are going to see the Grassman draw up to 7. And it is over to Andrew. Recon Directive. Just have a fresh hand, don't forget. Iono and Boss's orders were the targets of Recon Directive there. Looks like is going to take the Iono. Boss gets sent back to the bottom.
Progress your own board state. It's one of, arguably, that's more key right now because, again, there's no routes. You can sit pretty with that Dusclops just kind of waiting there as well when you want it to be. Energy attachment every turn is, again, key. We missed one the last turn. That's why we had to, unfortunately, get rid of that ever so important A-Spec. Ultra Ball now being utilized, discarding the Rescue Board and the Blood Moon Ursaluna EX, a great late-game finisher. Not one we had a chance to really see so far. Secondary B hits the field.
Also works really well with the Curse Blast as well, right? The Blood Moon Ursaluna letting you attack for... You know, the energy cost gets reduced for each prize card your opponent has taken. We are going to see Ultra Ball going to grab the Dreepy. That's going to hit the bench. Got the little backup. But it's going to be the Itchy Pollen, the baby Pokemon War in the active. Let's see. Oh, was that a top deck of a Professor's Research?
I mean, it was a bunch of supporters already in hand.
Oh, wow. Painful discards here, there, and everywhere for Andrew and Matthew. Do we see a Rolts now? No!
Still no Rolts.
Rolts, where are you? Matthew's thinking, I need you.
This is really dire right now for Matt's side of the board. I mean, you don't play the game until you can get routes, Curliers, and eventually a Gardevoird EX really live. I mean, you can always at some point just get an energy attachment onto something like the Lily Safari and just get it prepped, but it's not ideal. There's one of the few tech cards which has come back into Matt's list, that Klefki with that mischievous lock ability. Oh, it does have that Joust as well, which could be utilized. But there is the Adrenabrain. Joust into the active. We're just dealing a little bit more damage to the Badoo, just kind of forced the issue.
It does. And that mysterious lock, while it's in the active, basic Pokemon don't have abilities. Both yours and your opponents, don't forget.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those awkward scenarios right now. Just kind of double-checking that Recon Directive. Obviously something important. A big decision to be made here. Does have Iono in hand. Does have the Dust Noir in hand as well. So can have that prepped and ready at some stage. Already has an energy in hand. Takes the second one. Maybe he wants to just kind of get it to the bottom of the deck and ignore it. But can only attach one more. Can't attach it to the current Dracloak as well because only Luminous Energy has to have. Can't have another special energy attached. Sorry.
Okay, so this nest ball should be in the discard then.
And it looks like we are going to see Recon Directive going to evolve up another Dracloak there for Andrew. And it looks like shuffling up the deck off that Ultra Ball. This is looking interesting, Alex.
I don't think it's meant to be there.
Yeah, just kind of making sure exactly what's available. There's a second Recon Directive. There's that switch, which could have been ever so important earlier.
Yeah. That would have preserved the Neo Up energy at the very least. Recon Directive being used there for the second time.
There's
the Luminous Energy attachment. It's going to be another Itchy Pollen. Back over to Matthew.
that hand, I mean, Andrew's going to be thinking, well, I don't want to push you closer to a routes right now. You've only got one bench space available as well. I want to make sure that I don't Iona you so you get closer, and that's why it was kind of pitched away right now and wasn't played.
But it's just going to be the joust for the KO. No cards being played. Is over to Andrew now. Could this be the turn where we see the big, bad, scary Phantom Dive? That hand, I'll tell you what, with that hand, it's not looking particularly great. Here we go. Oh, wow, there's a top deck for you. And we are going to see the evolution into the Dustoir. Going to consult the discard pile. Is the Night Stretcher live for anything? Doesn't look like it particularly. So we're going to play the Iono. 6 cards for Andrew, 5 for Matthew. Here we go. Alex, do we see Dragapult Energy? That would be the dream.
Well, he's got Pheasantipity, so can continue seeing cards. Dragapult
there's
in
the
hand.
Dragapult.
So there's going to be a few more cards. Flip the script.
Oh, no, can't do that because of Mysterious Lock. Fantastic stop there from Matthew. Mysterious Lock stopping all basic Pokemon abilities while it's in the active, which it currently is.
Wow, one of those key cards that kind of it's going to be stopping throughout. Just needs that energy, hits it.
There we go.
There's a Psychic Energy into the hand. Buddy Poffin being utilized now as well. Further Dust Skulls and maybe another Dreepy so that we can get more Dracloaks live. Kind of a big turn here, because at the same time, you're still staring at a board of just your opponent's Monkey Dories and a Cleffer.
Yeah. So it's like we're playing Klefki, Monkey Dory at this moment in time, if you're Matthew. But here we are going to see, I imagine, the big, scary Phantom. There's a turn attachment. Oh, is it going to be? Yeah, it has to be. There we are. You can see the evolution into the Dragapult. Oh, debating whether it's the Dragon Headbutt. I mean, that would actually be a KO as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more than enough. But I guess maybe just doesn't want to send too much. He just decides to Jet Headbutt here for the knockout.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to put the damage counters onto Matt Burris' board. Because otherwise he'll just see it being flung back over. Yeah. And that wouldn't be any nice.
How did the Iono treat him? Well, we do see items currently being live now. So here we are. Buddy Poffin. Here you come. Here we come, Rolls. Get invited to the party.
But we're in the same scenario that we found ourselves in Game 2, where there's a Dustoir just waiting in the wings. So as soon as these routes come back down, and there's another Duskull as well. So if I can find a way to get into my other Dusclops, although actually, just a reminder, that second Duskull is prized, but maybe just popping off the first Dustoir, get a Night Stretcher, get the Dusclops back on live again. Yeah. And then these routes are just kind of very susceptible. They're only 70 HP. When you're using Phantom Dive for big knockouts and the extra 6 damage counter drops, really tricky position here.
I wonder if there's a world in which you actually attach a Bravery Charm to a Revolt to say, hopefully this one can survive. But we are going to see the secret box being played. Professor's Research, there goes the Bravery Charm. And then, Rare Candy or Super Odd. You might have to use that Rare Candy if you're Matthew. You probably haven't got the chance to try and go Curlier into Gardevoird. Probably going to have to try and utilize that Rare Candy.
Yeah, we need to find a way. 5 minutes left on the clock. If you're just joining us in Swiss round 3 at this North American International Championships, Andrew Hedrick and Matthew Burris are playing out Dragapult Dustoir against Gardevoird. Yes, currently 1-1 in this series. And we finally do have the routes down on Matt's side of the board. But we just need to find a way to maybe make sure they hang around that little bit longer, because he is staring down at a Dragapult EX alongside its current partners in Dustoir and potentially future Dusclops and another Dustoir at some point as well, with that Duskull just waiting in the wings. Earthen Vessel being utilized, pitching away that Technical Machine evolution.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be using that. And remember, you're thinking, oh, there's only 4 minutes left. I remember Andrew took 4 prize cards in 1 turn last game, so this is very easy for Andrew to still win. Most likely we're going to see a turn attachment to the Monkey Dory. Artisan being played, can't be used. And then the Iono. We're going to see the Iono plus Mind Bend, perhaps.
Yeah, well, most likely, right? I mean, you wouldn't put the energy onto that Monkey Dory if you weren't at least considering trying to utilize a Mind Bend attack. Now we're going to confuse that Dragapult EX once again.
Mind Bend. That is a confused Dragapult. Now let's see what happens here. We could just see an evolution to the bench strike low, pay retreat, attack with that perhaps. I mean, there's a Dragapult. Going to need that if that is your game plan.
Yeah, it does have that luminous energy behind it.
Well.
Yeah. That's another fantastic card. But again, needs to find it could switch into maybe that Dusclops.
Yep.
Or Dustoir, I should say, just to be able to actually then go back into the Dragapult.
Wow. That switch, those clutch, we missed it on the Neo upper energy turn, but getting it here is very effective as well. Remember, if a Pokemon does leave the active spot, special conditions do, you know, get removed from the Pokemon.
And remember, there's even opportunities to try and weave in some of your own Monkey Dory shenanigans, Adrenabrain shenanigans at some point as well. If you could find another Luminous Energy. There is one more. I mean, there are 3 in the deck. There's 2 currently attached. We do see the switch into the Dusknoir here. Obviously, has that free retreat essentially. Once it used like Curse Blast onto one of the routes, that's 1 gone, 1 left to play with. Can we find a way just to kind of bring it up? Was there a boss's orders? Oh, it finds the Dusk.
I think there is boss's orders in hand.
Finds the Dusclops as well from the prizes.
Straight from the prize cards at the perfect time. Arthur's going to shuffle the deck as well. So if Andrew decides he could just Curse Blast one of the the only roll, I should say, and then Phantom Dive would be live to KO it. But it's like Artisan is going to be played now. No, Artisan, Arvin, I apologize. Let's see what this is going to grab.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so many different options here. Just an Ultra Ball, maybe try and get to another Dracloak there, and, you know, just make sure the board's set up and ready to go as well, so that you can protect yourself from things like Ionos. Oh, there's a flying entry. Doesn't even have to worry about it.
You can preserve the Dusclops, because now that Roltz has 60 hit points left, Alex. And you know what Phantom Dive does? 6 damage to to your opponent's bench Pokemon. So we're going to see a double KO, a 2-prize turn is over to Matthew. So there, Andrew said, oh, you've got 2 Rolts. They are now gone. You're back to playing Monkey Dory Cleffa. Over to Matthew. What can he do?
And he saw the Super Rod having been pitched away from the secret box as well.
True, yeah.
He does have another Rolts in hand. I guess picked up off the prize he was given from the Dusknoirs. Curse Blast ability effectively by taking a prize. But, you know, we have seen the Super Rod already pitched away. Does have access to some night stretchers. There's a couple of night stretchers in the list. Pheasantipity now going onto the board state. That's a tasty 2-prizer. That could be remaining for Andrew Hedrick right now.
Really, especially you've got Dusclops there as well, basically saying I can tag that and then I can KO it. Nice and easily if I can maneuver it into the active. But I think if you're Matthew, you need all the help you can get right now. This is not looking particularly great. Ultra Ball is going to conclude. That's going to get shuffled. Discard pile getting consulted. Yet this is an end game scenario, so a lot of resources have gone.
Yeah, I mean, we're very fortunate from this sort of caster cam and viewing it, everyone viewing as well. We know Andrew has boss's orders in hand.
Yeah, true.
So we have also get to see Matt just kind of flash the Iono there as well. He has to get that played, has to try and slow down this game where possible. Iono utilized here. Andrew Hedrick does have access to 1 recon directive. Not going to be any prizes taken from Matt's side of the board, so Flip the Script won't be available. It's a bit of a sitting duck at the moment. But what else does Matt have available? There is a counter catcher, can try and slow the game down this way. As we just do get bottom there, timer has been called. No time remaining. And at this point, Shay, just run us through very quickly what happens now.
Yeah, so when time gets called, whoever turn it is, you know, effectively what's called turn 0. And then we'll see another 3 turns get played. And then if the game does not conclude in those 3 turns, the game is classed as, you know, just being null and void. So in that scenario, if time has been called, and if the game does not conclude in those turns, then this would end in a tie. However, with Andrew only being on 2 prize cards, he can definitely try to win. So as you did say, Alex, maybe now Matthew's game plan doesn't turn into how can I win this game, it's just how can I try my hardest not to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. Here right now, we did get to flip the script, so there are a number of cards that Matt is going to be working with. Has the counter catcher, targets the Pheasantipity EX. You know, one of those cards that has to get the energy attachment to kind of maneuver it back out, or unless Andrew could find something like the rescue board.
Oh, true, yeah.
There we go. Looks like
the grasp. Oh no, we're going to see the Adrenabrain activation. There's a cheeky little 10 damage that can get maneuvered. And then we're going to see the retreat into the technical machine evolution. So I tell you what, here comes the Curlier now. Only like 5 turns too late, but there it is, finally hitting the field.
Right, nothing to work with from the 3 cards we see. Finds a Professor's Research from the Recon Directive that will give an opportunity for Andrew to see more cards.